Welcome again to Mystic Revolution. We are in season 5, The Path to Psychic Mastery. We've got a great show for you today, a really interesting discussion. But before we get there, let's take a moment to do a little meditation. I invite you to close your beautiful eyes and just take a nice deep breath in and out. And just give yourself a moment to settle into yourself. Get comfortable in your chair or wherever you are. And see if you can drop your awareness out of your headspace and down into your heart. And just let your focus be on your beautiful heart. And if you like, you can allow an illumination, a ball of light, a little candle, something there to open and enlighten your heart space. And let yourself really tune into the chair that's holding you or the bed that's holding you if you're lying down. And let yourself just be held. Just be held. And maybe you can deepen even more and tuning into the earth below, and let yourself just be held. Held by the earth. Cradled by the earth's embrace. And bringing in some earth energy in. And if you like, you can try and connect your own heart with a beautiful cord or pillar all the way down to the heart of the earth. But then also allow yourself to tune upward to source energy, sun energy, the heart of the sky, the heart of divinity. And allow yourself to be held by that too. And we can bring a nice channel or pillar of that energy into your heart space. And know that you are at all times held by the earth and the sky, held by Mother Earth, held by the God of your heart, in your own heart. You can always tap into this kind of support and energy. Feel free to stay in this state if you like and just listen, or invite you to open your eyes and watch Wendy and I talk as we get deeper into this, our 5th season. Hard to believe. So Wendy, I know you had some really cool things for us to talk about today. So I invite you just to jump in.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes. So I want to contextualize. This is our third episode already in the path of psychic mastery.
Yes.
And the first two, we were talking about like experiences of the divine. And then the second was our divine experiences, like dancing with our psychic training and some things about that. And now we're going to move into some gristy stuff, which I think is really great, because the whole idea of this season, first of all, psychic comes from a Greek word meaning breath or soul. So we're always talking about soul and our soul senses, and that's what we're continuing to talk about. It's just that we're really using this very specific word that kind of nails, puts the nail on the head for what we're talking about. But we're talking about the same things we've been talking about all along: mystic, soul, psychic experiences, and how do we dance those?
Yeah.
So the idea of this particular season of mastery is what there is to learn, why it helps to learn, and what it's like to learn. That's
Yeah.
kind of what we're meaning to do this season, and to learn, to grow, to develop, to find mastery. And I just want to back up and say that a lot of people are like, there's nothing to learn. You're psychic or you're not.
Yeah.
And that's it. And we disagree.
Yes, we do disagree with that. And it's important to allow yourself time to learn, right? You
Yes.
can play with your psychic abilities. You can be psychic, but if you're not allowing yourself time to learn more, to deepen into that, if you always feel like you have to be on and be that, there's a lot to miss, both in terms of skill development, but also just in terms of your soul's experience, of the wisdom that you gain, and so much more. So
Yes.
this is a real permission call to allow yourself to learn, and let the learning be the journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And whether we're like, oh, I wish I had like more intuition, or I know I have get information, or I'm a working healer, or I'm like an awesome world-known psychic. It doesn't matter
No.
relative to what I'm going to say next, which is that we're always in the game. We're always learning and healing and growing more.
Yeah.
And if we're not, we're missing an opportunity.
Yeah. We're missing
And
an opportunity.
we might be avoiding the very important things for us to heal and grow and develop. And we won't know it unless we really jump in.
I agree. And I just want to add, both Wendy and I are learners. We're talking about stuff. We're talking about our skills and experiences to this point, but we're learners.
Yes.
Constantly learning, constantly like deepening in this stuff, because it's a way of living that we've chosen. And it reminds me of something that my teacher said, and this is especially for people that want to get into teaching or healing or whatever. But when we were talking about the idea of a teacher or a leader, she said, always remember that the people that you're working with are often more capable than you are. They often are
That's
more
clear to me.
capable of than you are. And that's how it should be. That's the evolution, right? It's the evolution. And if you go into every session or any teaching, understanding that, the people that you're talking to may just not have had the same experiences or haven't learned the certain things. Ultimately, they are more capable than you. Well, it keeps you humble and integrity for sure. It eliminates this idea of sort of the spiritual guru, because
Yes.
and there's so many good things about that. And I just always remember that. I'm so grateful that she passed that real wisdom on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it normalizes it, because we're just people, right? And we all have different experiences and different where we start and where we end. And we're just even with everyone that we help to read or heal or lead or teach. We're just even as humans. And then sometimes we take on a role where it's like, okay, I'm going to lead on this,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that we're better.
No.
We're You're not.
No.
And yeah, so that's part of the learning and the growth, is to really allow the being with the sacred truth of that they're special and I'm special, but nobody's like more special.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea here is that what we're talking about in the next few conversations is the really gristy stuff, so that we can start to highlight like what's there to learn or know, or heal about that might not be obvious.
Yeah.
So today's conversation is about spiritual bypassing, and it could be a whole season. It's been whole books, but I feel like we've mentioned it, but we haven't delved. So today, at least, we're going to be delving in to spiritual bypassing.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what that is, one way to talk about it from my perspective is to think, believe, or feel, or pretend, or convince myself, etc., that I'm actually going along in my spiritual development and my soul development when I'm kind of avoiding it, or kind of missing some things. I'm just kind of going over the surface and not really embodying the the beauty, the sacred beauty that's available. I'm using these spiritual facades to avoid instead of to delve into.
And a ramification of that can be feeling like maybe you know it all already, or you know more than others. And what others are experiencing isn't right, or they've got it wrong, or if only they did this thing, it would be so obvious in this way. And that's why we sort of started this out talking about being a learning journey, because when you choose the learning path, I really feel you're less likely to fall into that kind of way of being. So there was a lot of posts posting about people being spiritual bypass. And it's when you feel like your experience is being discounted by someone else, or when you feel the need to somehow judge or discount someone else's experience.
Yeah. And so this practice that Susana and I share, one of the things I like best about it all along from the very beginning, which for me is going to be 21 years in a minute, is that everybody's always working their stuff.
Yeah.
And if they're not, there's something awry. And my teacher used to like to say, there's always work to do. There's always learning to do. There's always healing to do. If there's not, we would be graduating. we wouldn't really be here. There's always something. And she also liked to say, if you're not learning more from your students than they are, then you're not doing it right. And I apply
Same
that to
idea.
my
Yeah.
healies as well. It's like, if I'm not healing and learning from them, then I'm missing it. I'm missing the gift.
I love that, because based upon what you said, and then also my teacher said, it's like a whole different paradigm, right? Where you've got to be some big expert, and you've got to, right? And you have to know everything. And in your knowingness, you do not need to learn anything else. And that really cuts the flow of information and energy in a way that I don't think serves either leader, teacher, healer, or their students or clients or whatever.
It really doesn't serve either.
Yeah.
It's invalidating for
Yeah.
the students.
Yeah.
It's a competition game, which is built on invalidation, right? Competition is always built on invalidation. and and it just says to everyone, I haven't done my work. If I'm judging or competing or saying I'm better or worse, it's saying I haven't done my work. And I want to back up and say, not to fall into the perfect pictures, the ideal images about like I have to be all doing it all perfectly. there's times I learn more and there's times I do less. There's times that I really delve into the healing, and so do you. And there's times that I'm skating over the top a little bit, and that there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, we can't make it an idol, but it's important to stay in the game.
Yeah, I think it's important to stay in the game. And I'm just going to be perfectly honest. There's definitely been times on my journey where I've fallen into competition, feeling like, and that comes from a place of not feeling good enough, right? And not, and wanting to be, or wanting to shine, or have what I perceive someone else to have or be doing. I'm also going to say there were times early on in like my recovery and stuff where I was doing it great, and I thought, I know everything about this. I mean, I think I might have shared that, like coming out of eating disorder recovery, everyone wanted and thought they knew everything and wanted to be a therapist when they really just begun therapy. And that happens, and that's totally part of it.
Mhm.
It's totally part of it. And it's just like when you can catch yourself doing that and just be like, oh, look at, ha ha ha, look what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And then get back in. Yeah.
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 So I have a personal story about this that I feel like is really relevant.
Yeah.
But before that, maybe a
We
little
need to
break.
take a break.
Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
Hey everyone, just a friendly reminder that on the first Tuesday of every month, we hold a Mystic Revolution meditation, and you're invited. Just go to our website and you'll find the link. We look forward to seeing you then.
Raise your vibration and energize your life with specialized Fibonacci tuning forks that deepen meditations and empower self-healing. Get your vibrational sound tools for personal enhancement at energybodytuners.com.
Welcome back to Mystic Revolution. Susanna and I are having a conversation about spiritual bypassing and how important it is in our mystic mastery, in our psychic development, that we are engaging with our own healing and growth all the time. Yeah. Susanna, is there anything you want to say so far? I've been doing most of the talking, it feels like.
I feel like I've been talking, but I think what we're getting at to the point is that when we see this showing up in people, right? When we feel that someone is spiritually bypassing it, there's something behind it, right? Like I mentioned, having competition energy, or having a lot of competition energy, like or not enoughness or something. There's something else going on. And just remember that if you feel like you've been spiritually bypassed, or if you feel like you've been discounted, there's something else going on with the other person, and it's their own journey to figure it out.
Yeah. And it's just so important. I mean, I see this all the time. It's just so important for everybody to own their own stuff and stay on our own lane. And if I'm having an experience, to first heal here before I go and talk to the other person and try to lay it on them. Just like, okay, I can get neutral and I don't have to judge back. It's so challenging. It's like,
it's so challenging because we've already got that charge, and you can be ready to go. And I mean, gosh, this spirals into all sorts of conversations about tending to your own judgment, about problem energy. I mean, creating more problem energy out of just like focusing on it and spinning your stories. But I think that you had a really interesting personal experience that you wanted to share. So I want to make sure.
I mean, it's right now. So I'll say, and it's about us doing our own healing work and to be straight about it and to be willing to do it. And I know you've done amazing work like that, Susanna. You've put yourself in a harness and gone deep and come out with great gifts. And I'm in the midst of doing that myself right now. And I got down to what might be the mother of all my core issues. We'll see. It's just seriously gnarly and tied to some of the ways in which my life doesn't work as well as I'd like to.
Yeah.
But it's so painful. And so I chose somebody to work with and put myself in the harness weekly for a while, and it's going to go on for a while. And at first, it's so interesting because at first it was like, okay, I've worked through so much of this, I'm clearing this energy, I see this, I see that. But then it starts to get like, oh, it starts to really hurt. It starts to really pinch and really like the emotions are coming up to clear, how I'm seeing is changing. So I just want to say, like, I think it's very helpful for wherever we are in our journey to be able to be honest about that and
Yeah.
say, oh, I'm really against my stuff. My emotions are up. I'm not as stable. Maybe I don't have as much cushion as I usually do because I'm really working my dark stuff.
Yeah.
So I've seen you do it beautifully. I'm doing it. And I just want to say that it was really interesting because I was talking to my young students and saying that I was doing it, and they're just like, oh my gosh. And also one of the guys was like, oh, but you're doing that with this other person, and you do other things with that other person in which you're leading, and in the world that's weird. Like, it's like this person is ahead and this person's behind, and this one's the leader and this one's the follower. And in our system, we go back and forth. We trade all the time. We trade all the time. And and it's like, okay, because we're even, so now you're leading and I trust you, and now I'm leading and you trust me. And he was just blown away because that's just not the model that's in the world. But I think it really helps us to keep our humility and to keep and to really utilize all the gifts that are around because everyone's capable.
Yeah. Everyone is capable. And I really appreciate your sharing that, because it is a different model. It's a more honest, well, I'm not gonna say it's more honest, but it is it is an honest model in that it willingly opens the truth that even people that have years of experience in something, right? They're still going through things, right? There's not some point where you reach where, well, life is just glorious all the time. And I know there have been conversations where one might have gotten that from us because
Right.
we're in joy about a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I mean, we are in this life, we are in these bodies, and stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, just from my own experience, having something to lean into has helped me through those dark times, helped me deal with the dark stuff in a way that is pretty methodical and pretty results oriented. I'm sounding like I'm a data scientist or something, but it's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, but so thanks for sharing that. I was in a conversation with someone about the idea of God, and we talked about that, the God, or the idea of divine force of the universe, and how could that exist and there still be terrible stuff going on? And I mean, I basically said, well, I mean, whoever said that having a connection or a belief in the divine meant everything was going to be, roses and rivers of honey and all, I mean,
Right.
no problems. I don't
Right.
know who said that. Maybe someone did. Maybe the Bible in some places alludes to that and people interpret it that way. I don't know. I think it just allows us to lean into a greater force, a greater flow of energy that can help us. But we talked about that last week a little bit, but I think it kind of works into this conversation a little bit too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so there's the wonderful spiritual blessings and soul practices in which
Yeah.
it can be so delicious.
Yeah.
We've talked about this a lot. I think, we can have all these spiritual blessings and at the same time be grieving or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're talking about. It's like, can we be in joy or peace or love or whatever, and allow the ugly, gnarly, Christy, horrific things to come up to heal.
Yeah.
The dragons that have been, in the basement or, that's been running the house or whatever. Can we start to be just like, oh, hello, elephant in the living room?
Or
And it
hello,
doesn't mean we have
dragon. Why have I been keeping you hidden so long? You're actually really
I know.
right.
Yeah. My favorite
Right?
Christian minister, Dr. Bruce Morgan, used to say, because he studied Jung and he used to talk about it a lot. And he said, can we make pets of take our dragons out of the basement and make them household pets?
Yeah.
And that's, yeah. So, but that process is not almost never easy or fun over here. It doesn't mean we can't be in joy, but still it's Christy. And what I want to say is that it gets easier. And my friend who I'm trading with at our third meeting said 2 times, Wendy, you're being so courageous, you're being so brave. And I'm not saying this to say I'm so wonderful. It's just that I just want to say, from this person's perspective, they don't know my story so well. They don't know, I've been around it. I've circumambulated it 7 million times. It's some of it is just, yeah, it's horrible, but it's mine, so it's normal. And also I've cleared a lot about it. I've cleared to be able to be all right, I'm going to really deal with this. And I've been growing my courage. I've been growing my muscle of being able to do hard things.
Yeah.
And I do it like you every day with people. So, and with myself. And so it's a big deal, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's just it's appropriate challenge. And if we just stay with appropriate challenge, then we just keep growing our muscle.
Yeah.
And then we're really a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I love that. And the idea of an appropriate challenge, or because that phrasing is interesting. I've never heard you use it before. But it allows for the challenge and the intensity of it, but it also signals to an end point or a shift, right? This is in this moment or in these next weeks or months. This is the challenge.
Yeah.
And in your mindful attention to it, I mean, it's going to completely transform.
Yeah. And it already is.
I think it already is. I was just going to say that.
It already is. Every time it's just oh man, this is ugly. And then, I just stay. It's just a matter of, can I stay with it? It's and this is part of the thing with spiritual bypassing. One of the things that happens, I think, is that we've talked about, I have this bridge imagery, which we go over the bridge, whether it's with addiction or in this case with I go and I have this amazing spiritual experience for a moment or however long, you go into eternity, who knows how long it is, right? But it's dude, and all of the world is different, right? Yeah. And then it's over. And then I'm going back over the bridge back to regular life. And it's now a memory. It's not the eternal moment. It's the remembering of the eternal moment over on the other side, back to regular life. And I'm sure I've talked about this before, that my picture is we can just stay here and just keep having moments, or we can like actually do the work of integrating and go up to the, the start of the river and the headwaters, and then back down, and then we can actually live in that. But it takes all this integration. That's what spiritual bypassing misses. If we just sit here and go back and forth over the bridge, we're missing the blessing.
Yeah.
And we're missing bringing it to the world in a more robust way.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the true transformation, when there is that shift. Some people talk about a vibrational shift or whatever it is. It's multifaceted, and it then becomes more of the default. And so even when like life hits you hard with things, leaning back into this, like, right, which I'll just speak to my own, like leaning back into something here rather than going deep down in the pit. And then my normal was, maybe a centimeter above the pit, right? It just feels better. And, you just start to notice pretty quickly, what things don't bother you anymore, or you don't even, or like you move through something and you're like, wow, that used to just, really piss me off or whatever.
Right.
And it's not even a thing anymore.
Yeah, there's more I want to say about this general subject, and I think our time is coming to an end. So how do you feel about wrapping it up and going on more next time?
Yeah, let's wrap it up, and we'll talk more about all of those things in the next episode. Thank you again for joining us. Before we say goodbye, we invite you to just take a moment and close your eyes and take a nice deep breath in and exhale out. And allow yourself to hang on to or take in anything that resonated with you, and just let the rest go. Right? This is just Wendy and I talking about our own experiences and ideas about things. And you can take what serves you and make it your own, and just leave the rest behind. Let's take a moment and just re-ground ourselves. Orient yourself to the earth again. Maybe give yourself a little hug. And remember your connection to divinity, and that you are of the divine. And with that, we look forward to seeing you next time on Mystic Revolution.
Thanks so much for playing with us. Please support Mystic Revolution by liking and sharing our show.
And sign up to get notified when new content is available. We really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Have a happy always.
Join us for our monthly Mystic Meditation on the first Tuesday of the month at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time.
Click on the link in the description to get more information and join the Mystic Revolution.
We look forward to seeing you then.